Okay, for some reason, I've just been feeling like the Lord has been telling me to sit down and record something and just talk with you guys, and I haven't known what to say. And for the last couple days, I've been planning on doing this just in obedience. And I kid you not, the second I got my camera out and was going, like, getting my SD card and everything set up and putting the stand on it and everything, our realtor messaged me and John and said that the house that we wanted, that we were going to put an offer on but went pending, has gone back on the market. It went pending before we could put an offer on it, and so we think that it was processing, it was already in the process behind the scenes when we were at the house looking at it. And so she just, when we told her, we said, this is the house we want, please keep us up to date, please, keep bothering the seller's realtor, because if it goes back on the market for any reason, we want it and we want to move on it quickly. And so the last week, a little over a week, I think, we've been just so upset and hurt and confused, and God, we thought this was the house. We felt peace. We saw your presence there. This had everything what we're praying for. And the house market in the area that I live is not great. Especially in the price range that we need right now. And so we've been having a hard time. And we've just been praying Lord, if this is your will, then we trust you. If it's not this house, then we trust you. And we want to be obedient to you. We want to be in the path that you have for our lives over our path that we desire for our lives. And but we told him last night, God, this is the house that we desire. I specifically told him, this is the house I desire, but if it's not your will, then that's fine. Then it won't come back on the market. And so literally right now, my realtor is on the phone with the seller's realtor, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't feel like it's coincidence that I kept feeling like I needed to bring out my camera and just talk and be honest with you guys about where I am and what's going on. And I can give you more details about the situation and everything that we've had to go through with a house specifically. But I just feel like the fact that I was getting my camera out and I was just literally seconds short of me getting the text and catching it on camera, which I so wish I could have caught it on camera. But it's just crazy because I just been feeling like the Lord's been dealing with me of you need to document what is happening. You need to share what I'm doing and how I'm changing your life and moving in your life. Oh my gosh. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, it's been hard. It's been pretty hard. And I can't fully explain why it's been so hard. I know that a lot has happened. I know that I've wrestled through a lot. But we'll keep you updated, I guess, and what's gonna happen. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I should just start telling the story now. But I'm just kind of in awe. It'd be like I can't really like think right now. And just 2 nights ago, just completely vulnerable. I'm just so close to wanting to give up and feeling like I don't have it in me to keep trying to hope and believe. And it's so hard to explain because it's not that I don't believe and that I don't trust, because I feel like for me it has become such like these things that the Lord has said that he's going to do has become such a like fact to me that I believe in and have faith that he will. The part that's been difficult is not knowing when or how, and even things coming contrary to the things that he has said, and dealing with that. And so just 2 nights ago, I literally just felt so numb and so disconnected. I haven't felt like that in a while. And I just was like, Lord, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I feel like I'm spending my life aiming for something, for things that just aren't happening and won't happen for a long time, and I'm gonna spend my life waiting and aiming. And then one day I'm gonna wake up old and wonder what happened, and realize that I spent all of my life waiting and aiming. And I've been sick too, been on and off sick, and just haven't been able to fully recover. And that's made things harder. It's made me getting sleep harder. It's made it harder to think, and just different things. But and so a couple Sundays ago, not this Sunday, past Sunday, the Sunday before, which I think it was like the 12th or something of January, and my pastor preached a message about the essential thing, and it was part 2 of his series, One Thing, and it was about Mary and Martha. And I felt like I was just like praying 2 nights ago on Sunday night or Saturday night, I can't quite remember. I have the date in my notebook, and I was praying and struggling and talking to the Lord about these things, about how I felt. And I just felt like he said, like, go listen to that message. And my husband had already told me I needed to listen to it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll listen to it, because then when it happened, I was sleeping. And so, I was like, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna listen to it. And, so I did. The Lord told me to do it. So I stopped what I was doing. It actually was journaling. I was just journaling and processing these things because, like I said, the Lord has been dealing with me about being better at journaling and keeping track of things and writing down things he said and things he's doing and my prayers, and in which I get in and out of seasons of doing these things. And I've always wanted to be someone who does that constantly and consistently, but it's just been really hard for me for many reasons. Especially in hard seasons, I just stop. most things. And so yeah, I'm listening to this message and I'm taking notes. And, my pastor was said, if, Martha was being used in her gifting of serving and hosting, but in being used in her gifting, she was doing it dysfunctionally, unhealthily, because she was doing it from a place of anxiety and agitation and not feeling enough. And so she was acting unhealthily in it and feel like she wasn't enough to do what she was doing, and it began to affect her relationships around her. And so we see in Luke, I think he said Luke 10, that Martha was trying to serve and all of that, and the disciples and Jesus were in her house, and Mary was sitting at her feet, and Martha just gets frustrated and goes, Jesus, can you tell my sister Mary to help me? Because I'm trying to do all these things and I can't. And she's just sitting there. And Jesus goes, Martha, Martha. And my pastor said he said her name twice because he wanted her to know, I need your full attention. Listen to me. And he said, Martha, Martha, Mary has chosen the better thing. And really, Mary knew who Jesus was and didn't care what she was supposed to be doing. Because culturally, my pastor went through the whole thing, and so I'm not doing a great job at summarizing it, but culturally, women were not supposed to be sitting at the feet of rabbis or teachers. That was only supposed to be for their disciples and their students. Women culturally were to serve and host. And so Mary should have been with Martha, doing exactly what Martha said she should be doing. But she wasn't. She was at his feet because she knew that was where there was value, and that was surrender of her life to him. And so, and Jesus says, Martha, I see that you are agitated or it was stressed, and he used 2 words. And essentially that he addressed her anxiousness and her agitation and her inadequacies that she felt towards herself and what she was doing. And don't mind my mess. This is our Christmas stuff packed up and everything. And so, but anyways, which is another reason why I haven't wanted to record, because I just feel like, in the state of where things are right now, there's not much to show, at least that I feel like anyways, which is another conversation. But yeah, Jesus addressed directly what Martha was struggling with, and he's basically telling her, I see you, I know what you're feeling, and I know what I gifted you in, and I see that you are not, because of your areas of struggle, you're not able to serve fully and be used fully in your giftings. And so, whereas Mary, she chose the eternal thing. She chose to invest in the eternal thing. And so Jesus addresses Martha's unhealthiness, her dysfunction, and her frustration. And then you later on you see that in another part of the story, I think it was in John. And Mary again is at Jesus' feet. And in this culture, feet were like the dirtiest, nastiest part of somebody. And so like even then it shows how much love and respect and adoration Mary had for Jesus, and how much surrender she had towards him. And actually, I can't remember, there was another time, I can't remember fully the stories right now, but then there was another time in also John where Mary was at Jesus' feet. And in this story, Jesus was actually honoring Martha for serving. And so this was a dinner celebrating Martha. And Mary comes in with alabaster oil that was worth a year's wages. So it was of high value. And breaks it over Jesus' feet. And anoints his feet with the oil. And is weeping. And takes her hair and wipes his feet. And cleans his feet. And I felt like the Lord told me, and I didn't want to share this, and I didn't think I was going to, because it's so personal to me and vulnerable to me right now. But I felt like he told me to stop and to pray. And he spoke to me and said, "You've been at my feet, and you've wept many tears, and I have every one of them. And they are so valuable to me and precious to me that they have not gone unnoticed. And that I have been trying to do everything he's spoken to me and in my life, in my own strength, like Martha, and do it even though he gifted me in those things and called me to those things. I've been doing it in the way of Martha's unhealthiness, where it was like, yeah, I'm gifted, but I'm getting agitated, I'm getting anxious, I don't feel adequate, I don't feel like what I'm doing is enough, I don't feel like I can do this alone. And he was just like, but you've always had the heart of Mary, and you've always been at my feet. And so I felt like he said, if you would just stay with me at my feet, then all these things that I've spoken and said will come. You being at my feet is the best thing that you can do, to be using these giftings that I've placed in you and that I've called you to be used in. And I just sat there and cried and prayed, and I have felt immensely better since then. Immensely better. And it was crazy because it was affecting my relationships. It was affecting how I interact with people in situations, because I was so agitated and stressed out and in tension and anxious. And so I have been trying to consciously decide to not be used in my giftings in a dysfunctional way. And I just feel like, with everything that's happened with the house stuff, I've struggled with that. I've struggled with the anxiousness and the anxiety and inadequacies and the frustrations and feeling like I needed to do it, that I needed to find the house, that I needed to search, that I needed to go, and I just couldn't stop. And I needed to do better at trying to find ways to provide for this financially, and all the time the Lord's saying, you don't need to. It's not on you. Yes, you have to do your due diligence, but don't do it without me. Come spend time with me first, and then do it. Okay, so it's the next day, and we just found out that the house did go back on the market earlier than they said it would, and we were thankfully notified immediately, but someone else is also putting in an offer. And so our realtor right now is on her way to her office to write the offer, and I'm just hoping and praying that our offer is the first offer in and is accepted immediately. We are going to see it again someday at 3:30. My dad is going to come with us and help look at it and make sure we didn't miss anything major that could be a concern and everything, but it's just kind of nerve-wracking. I'm still very excited. I still feel like, this is the house. I am a little nervous. Part of me is struggling a little bit with like concern and doubt, but I will say that the majority of how I feel is excited and assured and majoritarily at peace. So our realtor is going to be calling any minute now to write our offer, and our pre-approval loan officer who pre-approved us said that he's also going to get us approved here as quickly as possible, so that everything is just really smooth with our offer, that our finances are in place, everything is all just ready to go, and that there's no delay in the offer being made and stuff. And so yeah, I just wanted to give y'all an update. I planned on bringing you along and to the visit today and everything, and just kind of documenting it. I'm not sure, if I'm gonna be able to like talk or whatever, but I at least while we're there, just because we have several things that we want to check and double make sure of and all of that. And so we definitely want to make sure that we're thorough and that there's nothing that we forget to do. And so yeah, I'm excited to update you guys. I'm excited to take you along. I'm excited to see what God does and the amount of favor that He is going to give us in this situation. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, then it will be hard, but we trust Him anyways. We trust that if this doesn't work out, then there's something else out there for us that's going to be better and that is aligned with His will. And so more than anything, we want to be aligned in His will, and and do that over anything. What is, to us, it doesn't matter to be where we want to be if we're not in God's will. And so it's kind of like Moses, when he's, they were wandering in the wilderness with Israelites, and, he dashed his foot against the stone, and quite literally in anger, and the Lord said, because of that, you're not going to enter the promised land. You will die, before then, and I'm not going with you guys into the promised land. or I'm sorry, he didn't say you will die before, then I mixed that up. He said, I will not go with you into the promised land. And said, but you guys will go and my presence will not be there. And Moses said, I do not want to enter the promised land without your presence. And so he said, don't take us to the promised land if I can't have your presence. And so basically, until Moses died, they weren't able to enter the promised land because Moses didn't want to enter the promised land without God. And so, like, that's kind of the scenario here, is like, this is how I feel. It's like, well, not that God's presence wouldn't go with us in something that isn't like his will or perfect will for us. I believe anything with a repentant heart, anything is able to be redeemed and able to be used by God. But the thing is that we don't want to be somewhere that he's not already blessing and that he's not already moving us to. And so I kind of feel like Moses, because it's like, well, if this isn't, the promised land, if this isn't the house that you have for us, and it's something else, then I don't want the house, then I don't want this, this to work out. I want your will over anything. And that's my heart. That I fully have peace in. I know my husband would agree that he would feel the same way and think the same way. And so, yeah, we'll just see what happens. It's just going to be a process, but we'll see what happens, and I'll keep you updated. I'm just trying really hard to not have a Martha spirit, and not that Martha, was a bad person. She was not, but I just mean like having a Martha struggles. That's what I mean. And so I'm just trying really hard not to get like anxious and frustrated and agitated and feel like I'm not doing enough. Because typically when things don't work out, I have a tendency to blame myself and think, well, I just didn't do something right. I didn't, move quick enough or research enough, or I don't know. It can get pretty nitpicky and pretty petty if I'm being completely honest. But, I'm better. I'm doing better, I should say. Because normally I would have spiraled by now, and normally I would have been accusing myself about it all. So, progress.